Welcome to the Heartland Running Podcast. Join Crystal, Andy, and Chandler as they explore all things running related in the Heartland and beyond.
Of the Heartland Running Podcast. And we continue to put fun, entertaining, and educational stuff into your ears. And so we would like to have a very special guest tonight, and we're going to have Jordan Hasay. And so I'm going to give you a quick bio on her if you don't already know who she is. In high school, Jordan competed at the 2008 Olympic trials in the 1,500 meters and was named the 2008 Girls High School Athlete of the Year by Track and Field News. In college, she ran for the University of Oregon, winning 2 individual NCAA titles. After college, she became a professional runner and a member of the Nike Oregon Project. Then in 2016, she shifted her focus to road racing, and in 2017 has had an incredible year. We're going to hear a little bit about that tonight. First, she ran a 1:07:55. That is 1 hour and 7 minutes and 55 seconds at the Prague half marathon to become the 3rd fastest American woman in history at that distance. Amazing. Next up, she had her marathon debut at Boston, where she finished 3rd in 2 hours, 23 minutes, the fastest marathon debut by an American woman by almost 3 minutes. Then in October, Jordan ran the Chicago Marathon in 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 57 seconds, finishing 3rd. This time also puts her 2nd in the all-time list of American marathon performances. So I'm super excited to spend some time here with Jordan. And anyway, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you guys. All
right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come on with us here. I've heard that you fell in love with running and running laps in gym class. Is that correct? Is that true?
Yeah, I grew up doing a bunch of different sports. My dad played college basketball, and then my mom was a swimmer, so we were pretty active. And then I had a younger brother that I was always chasing around outside. So, I was always, kind of excelling at running. When I did those things, I would just sprint up and down the basketball court, and then I loved the 10-minute run in PE class, and I was beating all the boys. So at the time, the coach in 4th grade, he asked me to join the junior high track team. In my very first race, I beat all the 7th and 8th graders, and then just fell in love with it from there. Obviously, if you're doing really well at something, then you tend to like it and find success at it.
Okay, so what age did you figure out that, hey, I'm pretty quick, I'm pretty good at this?
So that was in 4th grade, and then I think my mile time that year was 6:16, and then 5th grade was 5:51, 6th grade 5:15. So I just gradually kept getting better. And I didn't run year round at that time, though. It wasn't till 7th grade when I joined a club team. And then that was when we started to realize, okay, she's pretty good at this running thing. I qualified for the Junior Olympics, which happened actually to be at Hayward Field in Eugene. And we thought, oh, yeah, top 10, even top 15 would be great. But I ended up winning both the 1,500 and 3K and set national records in both. So then we thought, okay, yeah, I think that we should take this pretty serious. And so that's kind of when I started running all the time. My mom was a runner, and she would run 6 miles every single day. So after that Junior Olympics, I started to run with her just for some extra training. And so then that's when, I started to, it was always still super fun at that age, but then I just started to kind of want to train more,
So that's really cool. And I see that you mentioned your mom, and I know that she's been a huge influence in your life. And I'm going to kind of break away from what the game plan is, because he kind of mentioned, talking about such a young age. My son, he's 8 years old right now, and he is determined to get a PR here in the next 10 days at the
That's
5K.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is obsessed with the 5K right now.
Wow, he's already running the 5K.
He really is. He's done 2 of them right now, and he kind of walks it, but he's done pretty good. But he wants to break 35 minutes, and he's super excited about it. And so
is it like on the road or?
Yeah, it's on the road.
Okay.
It's going to be our local kind of our Christmas ugly sweater 5K that's here down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so he's really excited about it, and I think that's cool, and I like the symbolism between you're talking about your mom as an inspiration to you, and I like to think that I'm an inspiration to my son because he sees that hey my dad's out there running, he's doing healthy stuff and he's doing fun stuff like that, and I want to do it too. And so I think that's really exciting that you took that inspiration from your mom, and so my son's taking that from me, and I think that's just kind of the cool thing about running that we're doing here. And so how much of an influence do you think that your mom was? I mean, just getting you into running.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, just in terms of, not just in terms of running, they never really pushed me or my brother to be a runner specifically. I think just living a healthy lifestyle is what really just, I appreciate growing up. Like, it was just a thing. We lived so close to the beach, and we always knew that, okay, before we go to the beach, our parents have to work out. So we're waiting for mom to go get her running. And when I was little, I understood it, but I wasn't going out there running with her. But then now it's like the same thing. Like we just work, my dad, I go home and like we all just get our runs in, our workouts. And then it's never been a challenge for me to have a healthy diet or get enough sleep because it was just so ingrained in my lifestyle. So I just really appreciate that because my family, not that they actually know anything about running, they could never coach me, but just they understand like the dedication that it takes and the commitment. And so I'm just really thankful that carried on to they pass that along to me because that's what it takes at this level to really be successful.
Yeah. I mean, that is so cool to me. And, as a dad is that, I like that my children think that, okay, dad's going out for a 10-mile run. That's normal. That's
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's some kids that are out there that they think that, okay, it's normal for dad to sit on the couch all day long and watch sports on Saturday. And, that's fine.
Right.
But I mean, still in the same sense that, you look at, if you want your children to succeed and to do neat things in life, then, they need their parents out there, doing those things, setting the example. And it sounds like that your parents just set this amazing example for you. And that has allowed you to be able to kind of move on to all the things that you're being successful with right now, and I think that's so cool. And as a parent myself, I just think that's just awesome. I love seeing that, and I think that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about it all day, but I'm just so thankful for my parents and everything that they did for us growing up, and like I said, just teaching me mainly just by example. Like I said, they never forced me into any sports or anything. It was always, I remember I was the one that was like, Mom, would it be okay if I sign up for track? And she's like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, what time are signed up? So it was never like, oh, like, yeah, Jordan, you're signing up for this. It was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, I want to be like my mom because you run all the time too. So I'd like to sign up for this. So I thought that was really neat. I don't know if they really planned it that way, but it just kind of worked out really well that way.
That's awesome. So Crystal, do you have some questions?
Yeah. So we know you're coached by Alberto Salazar, which is kind of really cool. And you're part of the Nike Oregon project. What did it mean to you to be able to be selected for that? And then also, can you, I heard this recently, but can you share with us the story of how you found out that you were going to be recruited?
Yeah, it was huge. So I kind of always wanted to run for Alberto. It was my dream ever since ever since running in the Olympic trials when I was young, I remember Galen Ruff and Tara Goucher at the time, who was on the team. They did really well at the trials and went on to do big things in the '08 Olympics. And so I was just, I went to University of Oregon, kind of hoping that that would be a natural path to move up here to Portland. But in college, I was okay. I won 2 NCAA titles, but I wasn't dominating the way that I would have hoped in terms of like definitely turning professional. So I was kind of uncertain, I guess, my senior year. And Alberto actually came down to Eugene for a Christian athlete conference. And I actually almost didn't go. I was invited by my friend to the dinner and I almost didn't go because I didn't know he was a speaker. So I was super thankful when I ended up going and he was there. And he said immediately when he started giving his speech, he goes, yeah, I was driving down here and I don't really like doing these things, but now I'm super thankful. He was like me, he almost didn't go. And then he goes, I'm just really thankful because I get to recruit one of the best distance runners in the country. And I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, you know, he wants me. It wasn't, not that I expected it to be, I did. I expected it to be the other way around where I was the one having to contact him. So from that point on, it was just really cool that we shared our faith, which is obviously a big part of my running. And then he just immediately had this really cool belief in me. And he had been watching me from a really young age. And just when you have someone like that, that's so experienced and so successful that believes in you, that gave me a ton of confidence to join his program and to start up in Portland. So I was just really honored and thrilled that it all worked out that way.
That's really cool. Did anybody else who was there that night know that was going to happen?
No, I think that everyone else at the dinner was like, okay, stop talking about this girl, like whoever this is that happens to be here. Because he said it at the end of the night too. He's like, well, the highlight of this dinner thing was that I got to meet Jordan and talk to her. So, because, you know, they're kind of strict in NCAA. You're not really allowed to contact coaches outside of the sport, which is fair until you're finished with your eligibility. So I couldn't really talk to him even past that point. But I actually ended up the day after. So I finished third in NCAA championships in the 5K. And the day after that, we called each other and I actually flew to Park City. It was insane. I had to move out of my apartment in Eugene. So my mom and I packed everything up. I packed everything for the summer. And then I flew to Park City for 10 days before the U.S. championship and ended up making the world team in the 10K. So it was like a whirlwind 10 days. Well, I took some exams that Alberto actually proctored because I wasn't even done with school yet. So I went all in, and it was just super cool because that was my dream, just to be a professional runner. And it literally happened like the day after I finished with college running.
That is absolutely amazing. One of the cool things I heard too is about, going from a student and then going, almost immediately to being a professional runner, is that you had to learn how to be a professional runner and what you kind of structure your day and do all that. And if I understand correctly, you had some mentors, through the Oregon project that helped you with that. Can you kind of talk about what that means to be a professional runner?
Yeah, I was super thankful at the time. Tara Erdman, who also made the world team in the 10K that year, she actually didn't have the time, but we qualified together, which is cool. We got second and third. So that really helped me make the team. And then we had Shamir Mosier, who had an extremely successful career, multiple time champion in the 1500. And I had raced her when I was 16 in the Olympic trials, and she's just one of my idols and still is. She's actually pregnant right now, which is super exciting. They're having a little girl, so she's kind of moved on now. But they just kind of helped me learn how to structure my day, because I was so used to just kind of running, going to classes, and having someone tell me what my schedule is, what time practice is. Whereas Alberto, he doesn't really tell you what to do. He just he leaves it very, is very professional, very adult-like. So he doesn't tell me how to break up my miles. On the easy days, we really only meet for workout days. So I was left to just follow those other girls' examples on the easy days. And they really taught me, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to nap in the afternoon, and then kind of just structure your mileage like this. And when you're really tired, you need to run easy, and just mentally how to approach things too. Because as a professional, the workouts were a lot harder. So it was great just to have them to kind of talk it through and do. I was working out with them as well, so just to get through it mentally, and have a calm head was something that Trenier really helped me with. So yeah, I had and have great teammates. So I'm really thankful for that.
That's awesome. Chandler, you got a question over there?
Yeah. So Jordan, you seem like a real happy and positive person. You know, you're always seen smiling in photos. Is that something you switch off during the race? You know, I know the cliche is always, you know, you got to find the anger and get angry to go faster. Is that something you do, or you kind of feed off the positivity to go fast?
No, I don't know if you guys watched the sword piece, the boundaries piece that they ended up doing, but I kind of talk about it in that. So we work with a sports psychologist, and they're always telling me, and even my dad sometimes when I've had bad races, he tells me, you look like you're just out there just kind of chilling. You got to get mad and get pissed off. And that just doesn't really work in my mind to me, because I'm always just such a kind of positive, nice person. I think that just came from my mom. She was always smiling. So in my mind, I don't really go into that side of it. I just try to make it a more of a performance and a way to show my gift and to be excellent. And I think that if you just carry through that positivity and keep smiling, keep pushing through, and just see your competitors as helping you to elevate each other's performances, there's no need to get upset at each other. We can all kind of work together. Obviously, there's that piece at the end where, you want to win, you want to beat people. And I do have that competitive edge. I wouldn't be at the level I'm at if I didn't have that. But I think that I kind of tap into it in a different way in terms of just like I said, just showing my gifts, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned your dad a few times, and what's his influence on your running and your competitiveness? I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, he's been amazing. Yeah, he is super competitive. So I think that's where I get the competitive side of things from. My mom is too, but she's more, I guess she would be more like the dedication side of it, because she was very routine and just taught me how to, be time management, structure my day and everything. But my dad was the one that was we would, basketball was his thing, like I said, and we, every night after dinner, we would always go out and play around the world. And he, my brother and I, and my dad would just get so upset, if he lost. And even as kids, he would never let us win. He's not one of those dads where it's oh yeah, I'm just going to let you win. He would always say, in high school too, he would always say, she's not fast enough. You need to develop a kick. And he would always go down to the high school and do sprints. And he's come race me. I'm a lot faster than you. In a good way though, nothing that he was ever super, super pushy, but just in a way that he knows that I need those challenges, and just because he's really competitive himself. So I always appreciate that. And we're still super competitive to this day. Anything that we're doing, we never let each other just win or let each other off the hook. So he's even thinking of running a marathon. That's his goal. He's got a lot of arthritis and bad knee issues, and He doesn't run every single day, but it's something that I think he could do one day, hopefully.
Oh, I hope he can.
I'm egging him on. I'm trying to push him to do it.
Oh, I would love for him to do that.
Yeah, for his age group, it's not too hard. Like my brother, he's got to run a 7:03 per mile to qualify, which he can run like 3 miles at that pace. But I don't think he could run a marathon, so it'd be really tough. But my dad's only got to run like a 4:40, so it might be doable. We'll see.
So if your dad makes it to Boston, would you go back and run that same year, or do you think you'd go and cheer for him?
Oh yeah, that's the problem. He's like, yeah, I would want to be at the finish line for you. So we haven't really established that what we would do. Yeah, he would probably want to maybe do it a year that I did another marathon. You never know. Yeah, or he'll do, or he would just do like another race. But it would still be like, even if I was up front, I was like, Dad, yeah, when you're going through halfway, someone could give you an update of how I did. So it would work out. I mean, he wouldn't have to be at the finish.
I love what you're saying about your dad, because I mean that's giving me all the feels right here. Because I've got my two sons that they're getting older, they're doing stuff, and they're getting competitive, and they're wanting me to go out and run with them and do this and that, and so Dad always has to keep beating them. I mean that's just kind of the thing, and so I know that time is going to come where I'm not going to be able to keep up, and so it's kind of fun, because I'm where I am right now, where I can still beat him. I can still, I'm still king of the hill, but you're kind of in that different position there, to where their dad can't quite keep up, and so I think that's fun to see the two different aspects of that. But that's awesome, the relationship that you have with your dad, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love hearing about that.
Yeah, funny story, but like I said, he's more of a sprinter. So I did go down with him when I was younger, and he likes to run the beach, just jog. And when I say run, this is the story. So I go down with him for a run, and he's running, and I start speed walking. Oh. And I'm like, Dad, we're not running. So he always laughs when I tell that story. So I mean, he goes at like a speed walk clip for me. So he's super slow, but at least he's out there.
Oh, we love you, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about your dad, talked about your mom a little bit. Are there any other role models that you have out there that maybe current runners, past runners? Is there someone that you kind of look up to that inspire you?
Yeah, so I really look up to Joan Benoit Samuelson. I'm sure you guys know who she is, the first women's gold medalist in the marathon, and I've got to meet her through several Nike events, and she's just awesome. She reminds me a lot of my mom, and so that's been really nice, especially this past year, just to have her to talk to, and she'll check in with me a lot. And I always see she was at Boston and Chicago, so I see her at races, and she's got a daughter that's my age and a son that's my brother's age, and he's a surfer too. And then I go run her 10K every year in August. So we have a really good relationship, and she's just given me a lot of advice. And I just admire the way not only that she ran in her career, but how she handles everything now. She's just so humble, and she's got so many demands on her, and everyone wants her to do this and that, but she's always so kind with her time, and then just, really gracious to younger athletes like myself. So she's one. And then also Paula Radcliffe. I got to meet her for the first time in Chicago. And when my mom was British, so when I started running from a very long time back, actually, she would call me Paula and say, "Go Paula." And especially this past year when I started to do more of the marathon stuff, she would call me Paula a lot. So I remember I did my very first 20 miler. I was super nervous, just text her in the morning, and she just would say, just give it, they say this in England, they say, give it welly. So she said, give it some welly, Paula. And then afterwards, well done, Paula. So that's super special. And just to be able to meet Paula in Chicago was really special for me, to finally sort of meet her and then for her to be at the finish line. And when I finished, I told her, I've got about 6 minutes to go on your world record. So she was like kind of laughing, but I actually hit her record with a mile to go. So that's not like too bad. I could see it, like it makes it a little bit more realistic. So that was cool. I'm not saying that I'm close by any means, but I guess a mile in a marathon is not as far as a mile in track. So, well, it depends how you're feeling at the end, I suppose. But yeah, so those two. Long story short.
But you know, that's so awesome. I love that you're with one of your heroes at the marathon, and you basically say, "I'm coming for you." It's
yeah, I don't know if it was like I'm coming for you or more like wow, that I respect your record a lot more. Well, what was cool is that we went out so fast that we were actually ahead of her course record time through about 10 miles, I think, 11 miles. So just kind of moving forward in my career, that gives me like a lot of confidence that I was running faster than Paula Radcliffe was for 10 miles. But still, just to be able to go out at that pace, now I kind of like just know that I can go out with anyone. And I died, but I didn't hit a wall like some people do in the marathon. So I'm pretty confident that I can just still go out at that pace. And then I just need to work on my strength a little bit, but then I'll be able to maintain that pace. So that was huge to be able to do that in Chicago.
Do you think Paula should be worried someday?
That she should be what? Oh, definitely. I've had that time written on my wall forever, and I just think, well, when I ran my first half marathon in January, I ran 68:40, and that's when I was really like, man, I don't know how she did that, because I didn't even run. You'd have to run a minute 2:67s almost, and I thought, oh man, that's like a long ways off. But I'm super young, so that's what's exciting, is that I moved up to marathon so young. So I've really got years and years ahead. So if I can just stay healthy, keep chipping away at it, I think that there's a realistic shot. And a lot of people think that sort of time is kind of unreachable. No one's really come close to it in a while, but what's exciting is that people are running 2:17 now, and Mary Catani ran that in London, and we're getting more consistency. Now it's not, you have to run under 2:20 to be considered one of the top marathon runners, whereas before it was like, sub 2:25 was pretty good. So it's just like we're having more numbers up there. So every single race, I think, and I've talked about this in other interviews, is like, what do we need to get that record? And I think it's just having people to compete with, because I never feel like when you go and have a pace setter and you're going after a time, in my experience, that's really never panned out. It's so hard to be like, oh, I'm going to go for this certain time, and then to hit that time on the day, it's really hard. So I think that's easier if you're just competing for the win with other women, and then the time just kind of comes. So I think that not just myself, but if someone else will get it soon.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because I mean, me, just a mere mortal, that I'll go out and I'm kind of an age group guy, and I look at a race and think, okay, well, I can just run this, and then I can win my age group, or I can place in my age group and do pretty good here. And then if the competition is not elevated to a certain place that makes me push myself farther than what I've done before, then I absolutely agree with you that I'm just going to go for what I know that I can do and what I can place at. And for you, for instance, you're going to try to go for the win, but it just depends on where it's elevated at. So I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Exactly. Like, I remember in Chicago, that's what I love about the marathon, is that I've never really gone after a certain time in training. I really just get as fit as I can. Obviously we have certain times that we're trying to hit in workouts, but I still am learning how that translates to what I'm going to run in a race. So I really just get as fit as possible. And in the press conference, people are asking me, "Oh, what do you want to run?" And I can never really give a time. I don't know if I'll ever be able to, just because I'm just going to go with the leaders. And in Chicago, they were going a lot faster than I'd planned, but I felt pretty good. And I was sort of hesitant, they had got me a little bit at first, and then I got back up on the pace because I was thinking I didn't come all this way to just give up the win, right? At 2 miles in. So I said, just pretend it's a half marathon, which it could be kind of stupid and a bad decision, but I knew I just had to be really tough. So yeah, again, I think just competing, and that's what led me to get such a fast time in Chicago, because I was just competing.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So let's talk a little bit some of your logistics and stuff that go into training and racing and some of that. And one of the ways we connected up is we have some mutual friends through Sword, and I understand Sword is your choice for hydration and fueling in the marathon. And so I'm curious, and we actually talked a little bit about this before we started recording too, that you had listened to one of our podcasts. It was actually before I was on the show, when the founders of Sword were on, Scott and Sean, when you were actually researching about their product and stuff. So I'm just kind of curious, what made you decide to go with Sword, and how did you originally get connected up with them?
Yeah, so actually I'm good friends with, I don't know if you know the name, Betsy Sana. She's one of the top Kenyan runners, and I was over at her house, and she and I were talking about hydration, and she ran Tokyo Marathon in January, so she moved up a little bit sooner than I did. And I was just telling her how I was just picking her brain about hydration on the long run. She goes, "Oh, have you tried Sword?" And I said no, and I was having some issues with the other drinks that I was using. And she said, "Oh, you definitely got to try this. It never gives me stomach problems." So she gave me a packet, and then I emailed Scott and Lisa, and they sent me some product, and immediately it just started working great for me. And anything that I'm going to support or use any product, I like to do my research and just the background. So I'm always stretching and just doing rehab and stuff. So I like to listen to podcasts. It's just something to pass the time. So I Googled them and kind of found your guys' podcast and enjoyed listening to that. And I think it's just a super cool story that they mix it in their kitchen, and then I've just developed such a good relationship with Lisa and Scott, and Scott he answers my endless questions on race day fuel. So we developed a really good strategy. So in Boston, I actually just did the normal concentration, but for Chicago, I did 1.5 concentration, just trying to mess around with getting a little bit more carbohydrates. So he was real good at sending me different charts and just explaining how much I'm gonna use in the time that I run the marathon. So I think that's important when you're out there to not just drink something, but to have a confidence in your strategy and know what works, and then practice it every single long run. And then I text Lisa when I have a long run, sending her a picture of me mixing it, and it's cool. It's just another source of support, and it gives me a lot of pride. So when I'm out there, I'm wanting to race to them and do really well, because they just support me in such a special way. So it's been such a good relationship, something I'm really thankful for. And then Sean's been great as well. They came out to California to do that to the film on the boundaries piece, which just turned out amazing. And it was just great to spend time with them. So it's just really neat to be a part of a growing company like that. And I think that they're going to do great things in the coming years. And I'm just excited to be a part of it as well.
Yeah, they're just absolutely wonderful people. And we're really happy to, become friends with them through the show as well. You talked about Sean being out there on the video, which we'll make sure that we link to that video in the show notes, because it's really wonderful. But Sean had mentioned that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and he'd mentioned you may have a thing for the energy tablets.
Yeah, I remember I emailed Scott after I first used them because I wasn't sure really how many you're supposed to take, and I said they taste like candy, and he goes, well, don't eat them like candy. And I'm literally though I'm counting down till I can eat those before I try to do an hour out before the marathon, but I'm always like, hey, 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, and then you gotta eat them.
Yeah,
So,
you have to be careful. If you take more than 4 of them at the same time, you're going to be up all night long. You're going to vacuum your house. You're going to dust everything. You're going to do all the laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take
No,
more.
exactly. It's tough on long run days because I like to practice stomach wise. So I'm usually taking 3 to 4 of those, and I like to have my afternoon nap, but I have lately been having to skip the nap or at least just lay there because they still are sort of in my system, but it ended up being worth it. Yeah, that definitely, I feel like those just definitely helped that last 10K. And it's just, again, it's just nice to have a product that I know is certified for sport and really safe and tested. And then they just came out with the apple flavor, which I'm addicted to. So I haven't actually had berry or orange in a while because the apple, I don't know if you guys have tried it. It just tastes like Jolly Ranchers.
The apple's the best. Yeah.
The apple
awesome.
flavor, like so amazing. So Lisa, I told her just, like she's just lately been sending me boxes of just apple. It's so good.
What's good is when it's chilly out and you're heading out is you can use hot water to make the apple, and it's really good warm too.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet. That's a really good idea.
See, this is the whole sword cooking show now.
Yeah, and I'm debating next marathon because I usually have like a certain. I like berry a little bit better than orange. So in Chicago, I did the first 4 bottles, I did orange, and then the last 4 I did berry, so that you kind of get that little kick at the end. And the 4th bottle, I had forgot that I traded to berry. So once I started drinking it, I was like, oh, yeah, got the berry here. So it's something, and that's a huge thing in the marathon is hydration. You don't realize, but it's like a real game changer. So it's just really cool to have, I keep emphasizing it, but just such a great product and great people to be behind me in the marathon. And it's really important because Tokyo is likely to be super hot and humid. So hydration is going to be really important there in 2020. So it's cool. It's just exciting.
Awesome. And you know what? Before we move on, since we're giving Sword all this love here, I'm going to throw out, because now there's probably a lot of people who are all excited about trying Sword. We do have a 20% discount code. So if anybody does want to try it, it is if you use Heartland Runner, you can get 20% off, and we'll put the links and stuff in the show notes as well, so people can go back and find that. So cool.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
All right, Chandler.
And they also just started making just another product plug. They have it pre-mixed now, which is really cool. So you can also order that, because before it's just that you have to mix it yourself in the packets. But they have like pre-made bottles, which I don't know if you guys have seen, but they look pretty sweet. So that's nice and convenient if you don't want to have to spend the time mixing it as well.
Yeah, I've seen the bottles. I haven't tried them yet, though. I'll have to get my hands on some. But hey, Chandler, did you want to ask about the magic shoes?
Yes, I did actually. Let me hang on one sec. So last week we spoke with Nike runner Camille Herron, who set the 100-mile world record at Tunnel Hill, and she did it wearing the Nike Vaporfly 4%. A lot of amazing times are being set in this shoe, and you were wearing a version of these shoes as well, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I think I must have been wearing the same as her, the 4%. Yeah. So yeah, they're great. I wear them now, and I'm lucky enough that I'm in Portland, so I've been kind of testing them. When I first started trying them out in September, we were calling them the 3% shoe, but now they've. I mean, I don't know how it got to but now they're even more efficient. Now they give you 4%. So I'm just thankful that I've been able to use those and test them out. And the main thing is that I think that they're just super cushioned. So I've just moved up to marathon, so I've never run a marathon. I've worn in Boston as well. But I just can't imagine running a full marathon in my road race flats that I've run 5Ks and 10Ks in. I think I would just be so beat up. Especially I'm pretty healthy, but if I do get any little tweaks, it's usually my feet. So I'm just really thankful that for recovery purposes, and actually I was talking to Paula about this, that she would run P10 if she had these shoes. But they're just really great and give you that extra bounce and cushioning. So I don't know, do you have any specific questions about them, or have you guys tried them out or seen them?
Well, we've talked about it on some Facebook pages and stuff like that, and so I kind of threw my opinion out on the 4% shoe, and I think that as a average Joe, I think that there is a higher amount of percentage that I can pull out of myself that I don't need to use a shoe to do that.
Yeah.
As in, like the night before a marathon, I should not eat burritos. And maybe I can get a few percentage points out of that, or I can run a few more miles, or get some more sleep. Or I think that there's a lot of things that I can do as an individual that I can get better performance out of myself that I don't need a shoe at. Now, you at your level, that you're doing everything that you should be doing that I don't do.
Yeah.
That maybe the equipment that you're using, the shoes you're using, that, hey, that could be a benefit to you. But for me, I need to not eat burritos the night before a marathon. That would probably help.
That's a good point. Did you do that? Is this a previous experience? Is that why you bring up burritos?
I am not the example of what you should do. If you're looking for the best day before, I should probably be the person that you should say, do not do what this person does prior to a race.
Although in all fairness, Camille Herron, the day before she set the 100-mile world record, did have Taco Bell. So there may be something in the burritos. Wow. Yeah, she did. She also had
I usually I could do Mexican, just not too many beans, I suppose. But I usually have rice the night before and quesadillas, chicken quesadillas, but so semi-Mexican. That's funny though, Taco Bell. Okay.
She also had a beer and a half during the race too, so.
Okay, Jordan, I absolutely have to tell the story that whenever me and Crystal and Stephen, we were at where were we at? We were in Kentucky for the
Paducah for Run Under the Stars.
Yeah, for Run Under the Stars, for an all-night run. And so we were in a camper, and I had a big smoked brisket. And so how long, 2 hours before the race?
Yeah, 2, maybe 3 at max. It was maybe 2 hours, though.
Yeah, 2 3 hours. I had this big smoked brisket. we carved it up. We had brisket sandwiches, and Crystal was just chowing down on this stuff. And I'm like, you should really back off that because we've got some work to do here coming up soon. And so it was partway through the race, and we were running around this track, and I just kind of pulled up next to her. It's like, how you doing there? And she's like, I'm really burping up this brisket sandwich and having a hard time. And I said, I told you needed to back off that. That might have been a bad idea.
Man.
Still worth it.
Yeah, I would say that's like not something that you want to do.
Yeah. This is why we're not pros.
Yeah, no. By any stretch. I'm curious too. I watched some of your strength training videos on the Pace Network, which I'm definitely going to put a link to that as well. And I believe you have some more coming out. And you do some very, very serious strength training. In fact, I saw you say in the video that you can deadlift twice your weight. And I think that's an older video, so I don't even know if you can do more than that now, which is just insane. But talk a little bit about your strength training. I think you said you do it daily, if I'm not mistaken. So clearly it's kind of really important to you. And I'm also curious, does it vary kind of depending where you are in your training cycle?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm actually, next week we're coming out with some more videos. So that's going to be exciting. We did some stuff last week where we answered people's questions because I've got a really good response from posting those videos. After Boston, a lot of people were asking me, do you have a YouTube channel? Do you post your workouts? And I said, no. And thankfully my strength coach kind of helped me and teamed up with a guy named Eric, and he's been doing some really cool film of some of my workouts. And so, to your point, usually kind of in the off season. So right now I'm going through more of a strength phase, and I'm lifting pretty heavy. I'm getting up there with the marathon stuff. I'm not going to go any higher than my PR, but right now I'm like right at that 205 deadlift and 205 box squat. So that's fun to do.
That's
I love that right now because I think it's important in the off season to just kind of develop that strength base, because once I really start the marathon specific work, I'm just not going to be able to lift that heavy, and still I'm just too tired to be able to lift that much weight. But right now, while I'm still kind of fresh, focusing on speed, it's really nice to kind of focus more on the weight room stuff. And then as I'm getting closer to racing, so I'll do Houston half in January. So next week, kind of 5 weeks out, we're going to start adding in jumps and try to get more of that power back so that I can have a little bit of pop in my legs then. And then we'll still have 3 months till Boston, so we'll go back to more of a strength phase. So yeah, it's like not to get too specific, but my coach definitely helps me plan it out. And it's something that over the years I've learned as well and have a real interest in, and something that I definitely want to keep doing long term, way past my running career. So I'm starting to try to establish that now, just to start coaching that and doing the videos. And I enjoy that because I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is for running. And I think especially just for injury prevention, and people get worried that they're going to bulk up, especially female athletes. But we're just trying to put that message out there that you can actually lift pretty substantial weight. I mean, I'm not, that is specific to running, as well. I'm doing a lot of balance work, a lot of hips and a lot of core. And some of those videos that I post is sort of the sexy stuff that I'm only doing at the very end of the list. So that's not what I'm doing all day, but yeah, I think it's definitely a huge component and something that's really helped me as I've transitioned to be a professional. And then especially in the marathon, those last 50 meters to be able to sprint like that was all weight room. I mean, I'm not running 26 miles in practice. I did actually in this build up, I did run a 28 miler, but I'm not sprinting like that at the end. It's all just kind of coming down to doing those jumps and really doing the balance work when I'm really tired in the weight room. So that was what was exciting and special, is that, okay, like all those hours that I spend lifting the weights, it all helped me to put together those last couple seconds to get under 221 in Chicago.
One thing that I'm really interested in, you were talking about, doing the weight work. When it comes to like speed work and track, how does that work into your training to, get you to that, that marathon time that you're looking for?
Yeah. So it's nice because I actually do come from a track background. I used to run the 1500 in high school, and I still actually ran it in college quite a bit, and 5K, 10K, and I'm pretty fast. I can run 57 for the quarter. So I could, not anymore. Now I could, I'm running like, before Chicago, I ran a 62, I think. So that's not too bad. And that was at the end of like 18K of work or something. So it was, it's just different, but it's really nice for me because I'm not like comparing my workouts to what my track workouts were. But we still, a big workout that we do is we do 10 times the 200 and then 10 times the 200 hill. And that's sort of an easy workout, but we're still doing that even with the marathon training every 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm getting down before Chicago. I maybe did that 10 days before, and I was running them in 30 to 31. So keeping the speed, and I think that's important. And especially because I am so young, so I do want to keep some speed in my legs. But again, it's definitely not the focus, which I sort of like, because it just takes the pressure off those workouts. So I'm more doing that workout like as a prep for a hard long run, or like coming off a hard long run. I'll maybe have a couple of days easy and then do the 200, but still integrating it in and getting my track. So usually I'll have like a long track interval workout day. So where I'm doing maybe anywhere from 10K to 15K worth of work at about 5-minute pace. So it could be either Ks or miles or something like that. And sometimes I'll do shorter stuff in between, like 400 to 300. Again, just kind of keep getting speed. And then the long run obviously becomes more of a workout, whereas in track, that's just sort of just another day. And then I'll either have more of a speed day. So the 200s or 400s or something like that. So one thing I like about our program is that we are not on a schedule. So I don't do like a 7-day schedule or even a 10-day schedule. I just do a how Jordan is feeling schedule and how hard the previous workout was. So if I do a really hard run and I'm looking really good, we're not afraid to like really go for it the last half, because then I'll just take the whole week easy. I'll do a really hard long run, but maybe then I'll take 4 days easy afterwards and I'll do a light workout coming back. So it's nice as a professional to have that sort of flexibility where I'm not like, okay, I need to work out on Tuesday, Friday, long run Sunday. It's like, especially, I think that's super important, especially when you're doing these like 28-mile days where you're just getting really, really tired and you don't want to force your body to come back. You don't want to be like, hey, I have to work out in 2 days. You just want to say, it's important. My coach always says we're going to recover from what we've done before we do anything hard, or else you're just going to put yourself in a hole. So I've learned that, and I really like that. It's another thing with the marathon training that I enjoy, is just being able to have one really hard effort on the day, but then you can sort of chill out mentally and physically until you're ready for the next hard thing.
Yeah. So, do you like the marathon? Do you think that's your sport?
Definitely. Yeah. I love it. I just love the training for it. And I just, on both race days, I've just felt I've been lucky that my training has gone really well and I've had 2 really good build-ups. So on race day, I just have felt actually super calm and super ready to go. And I hate tapering. Scott has helped me with
Everyone
that.
does.
He's always like, love the taper. You're going to do great on the taper. But it's nice because it is such an extended taper that it's different from track. Sometimes track, I've been kind of nervous and dreading the race, but usually, at least for these 2 marathons in my experience, I've been like, can we just go already? Like, I'm ready to start the race. I can't wait to get out there. Not in the sense either that I like want to get it over with. It's more just like, I'm excited to be out there. I'm excited to experience it. And it's really fun. And I hate taking breaks as well. I sound like you're traditional. I hate the taper. I hate breaks, but I mean, I'm not crazy, but I do like to push, obviously, and work hard. But after the marathon, you have to take such a long break as well. So I just remember in Chicago, I'm like, just let it all out, because after this, they're going to make you stop running for like a month. So, and then at that time too, you're like hurting so bad. You're promising yourself, yeah, like you never have to run ever again, ever in your life. So just like 30 more minutes. But then after you finish, you're like, oh, I'm ready to go run right now. It was funny in Boston because I finished and I didn't really know what to do because no one does a cool down. So I'm just like sitting there, and it's kind of refreshing for me because I'm so used to the track and so used to just that side of it, that the roads are really fresh and just different experiences. So I love that part of it.
That's great.
I love that mindset of run harder now so I don't have to run later. I'm going to have to remember that.
I never have to run again. All right. Well, we know that you are a competitive person and it's in your bloodline. Are you up to a little Heartland competition?
Yes, I'm super excited.
All right. Are you ready, Andy?
This could be my only chance to ever beat her. So I'm going to take it.
Well, good luck. Okay, so Chandler's got to get on his polyester blazer here and get ready. So we're going to cue a little intro music, and we are going to do the Elite versus Everyday Runner game, Chicago edition. And it's going to be Jordan versus Andy. All right, who's going to explain the rules? Andy, you want to explain the rules?
Yeah, I'll do the rules. Okay, so I ran Chicago this year, and just with you. And so the rules of this game is there's going to be 4 rounds of rapid fire questions, and then each round will have 2 questions, one for you, Jordan, and one for me. The best answers, as determined by our judges, which is going to be Crystal and Chandler, will be rewarded 1 point per question. The other person receives 0 points. At the end of the game, the participant with the most points wins absolutely nothing but the respect of our audience.
Bragging rights.
And bragging rights.
That's right.
So anyway, it's all fun. And so we're just going to answer the question with what our experience was during that specific question for the Chicago Marathon.
All right. Well, good luck, everybody. I will announce the rounds, and then Chandler will ask the questions. All right. Here we go. So round one.
Did Andy come up with these questions?
Wait a second. You know what? I think Andy did come up with the questions.
Well,
wait, hang on.
This is kind of unfair because I wasn't sent these in advance.
I agree.
FYI.
Here we go. -1, Andy. So Andy's already starting off in the hole. All right.
Okay. So yeah, -1 for me.
-1. All right. Here we go. So round 1 is training. All right, Chandler, take it away.
All right. Question number 1. What was your average weekly mileage leading up to the Chicago Marathon?
Okay, ladies first.
110 to 115.
Okay, I'm going to automatically mark you down as a win for this one. Because I was 50.
Say yours still.
I was 50 to 55.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah, that's
what
pretty.
was your time, by the way?
Okay. My time.
Or is that a question coming up?
It's not a question coming up. I had a major crash, but I think we'll get to that a little bit later. So anyway.
Oh, okay.
So question number 2.
Who won? Who won?
Oh, no, I thought we were saving this till the end. We're tallying it up. We'll declare the winner at the end.
Okay. They're going to tally it up. Okay, question 2.
Question number 2. What was your hardest workout leading up to the race?
I did 20 miles at 5:20 average.
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, I'm just gonna go home. Okay. So I
training, so I'm probably gonna win these, but you're gonna win the other ones.
Okay, well, I had a 22 miler. That was my last run leading up to it, and it started out with the first 4 miles were kind of a warm up. And then I started out with the next 2 miles after the 4, so 6 through 5, which was at my marathon pace. And then I bumped, and then for every 2 miles after that up to, I think it was 16 miles, then I bumped it up 10 seconds every 2 miles after that to where my last 2 miles was faster than marathon pace. And then
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was
so
hard.
What's marathon pace?
Okay, so marathon pace for me is 8:15, and so okay. I was around 8:05 to 8-minute miles for the last 2 miles, and then the last mile after that was as fast as I could possibly maintain for 1 mile, and I did that at 7:15. So I'm an old fat guy. I'm 40 years old, so that's
you
the
might
best.
Win that one, actually. That's pretty impressive. Like a minute. Granted that you have more of a range, but I haven't closed. I mean, I've closed workouts in 450 miles, so that's only like 30 seconds faster than marathon pace. But so you have a minute faster than marathon pace in your closing. So
we're going to leave that up to the judges.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
Here, we'll give you some applause for that, Andy.
I appreciate that. Now the sad part is that by the time I was at the end of that last mile that I'd done everything that I could possibly do, then I had that like terrible realization that I'm 4 miles away from home and I still have to run home. And not to mention that
you didn't time that very well.
No, I did that too. And then not only that was I started at 3:30 in the morning because I had to be to work at 8:30 in the morning and then go to work after that.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that was
you definitely win that one.
That was the worst workout ever. So anyway, we'll leave that to the judges. But yeah, that was my last hard workout prior to Chicago.
End of round 1. Going on to round 2. Round 2 is race weekend preparation. All right, Chandler, take it away.
All right. Question number 3 of round 2. How did you spend the day/days leading up to the race?
So I arrived, the race was Sunday. So I flew in Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, I spent doing press conferences and/or massage and napping or eating. And then the day before, I just was sleeping and, resting. And got to bed. I ate dinner. The race was really early, 7:30 in the morning, so I ate dinner about 5, and I was in bed by 9. And up at 4 for breakfast. So kept it pretty chill.
Okay, Andy, let's hear about your press conferences.
Okay, I did not have a press conference. So all day long Saturday, I was in a minivan with my children driving up the 4-lane to Chicago. And then we spent the day at the expo and then finished up at the History Museum there in Chicago, which was absolutely amazing. And I spent the entire day on my feet, which is a very poor decision. But my children had a very good time at the museum looking at dinosaur bones and having a good time.
And I do believe there was a mini bar incident somewhere in there too, wasn't there?
Now we'll get there.
Mini bar incident. What was that?
Well, let's move on to question 4. Go ahead, Chandler.
Question number 4. What was your pre-race dinner?
Oh, we kind of already talked about this. For me, salad, and then rice and chicken and cheese quesadillas. Just I go to I just went to Whole Foods and kind of make my own pre-race dinner.
So before you jump in, Andy, that's a great tip. Can I just say, going to like Whole Foods or somewhere instead of going to like thinking of a traditional restaurant or something like that. I like that idea. I'm giving her
an outstanding
I'm giving her bonus points for that. So plus 200.
Yeah,
okay.
because I always try. So like I recommend this too. Like rather than just like going out to, obviously it's nice to like go out to a nice restaurant, but I just, especially for the marathon, like to do stuff that I really trust. So every single long run, like that I did, going into Chicago, I go to Whole Foods and get that same dinner so that I know exactly what I'm going to eat. And I practice, how many hours out. It's down to science. And I think that's super important because then you know that your stomach's going to be good for race day. And you can tweak it, but you just want to be really confident in your process.
All right, Andy, let's hear about your confidence building meal.
Okay, so after our adventures at the museum, there was a downpour of rain that went through Chicago. And so we got kicked out of the museum. We had to take a cab back to the hotel, and we were completely drenched. And so we were going to go out to dinner and then decided that we were just going to order pizza. So we got Chicago deep dish pizza. I cannot remember the name of the place that we went to, but had it delivered to the hotel. And I mean, I kid you not, this pizza was 3 inches thick. It had so much cheese on it and mushrooms and pepperoni and sausage. And it was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the worst things I could possibly eat before a marathon. But yeah, it was
Pizza's not actually the worst thing. But like Mexicans probably worse, but
probably so. But yeah, this was not a good choice on my part, but man, my kids loved it. I guess I need to talk about the minibar. Totally forgot about that. So anyway, we had this refrigerator. I ate one slice of it because I mean this pizza is so huge. I mean just the pizza that I ordered weighed like 10 pounds, and so I just had like one slice of it. So I had all this stuff left over, and it's like, good grief, I'm going to want to eat this after the marathon. And so I wanted to do something with it. And so we had this refrigerator in our hotel room. So I opened up the door, and then there was like thousands of dollars worth of like beer and liquor inside this mini fridge. And so I don't drink or anything like that. But it's like, well, I need to keep this stuff refrigerated for tomorrow. So I started pulling out bottles of liquor and just kind of setting it up there on the cabinet.
No.
And so that way I could have a place to put my pizza inside the refrigerator. Well, I had no idea that there's sensors that's inside the mini fridge. And so the next day, here I am, I'm laying on the bed like 10 minutes after I get back from the marathon, and I'm done, and I'm laying on the bed, and then this lady comes in, this very nice Asian lady, and she has this cart just filled with liquor that she just rolls into our room. I'm like dying on the bed, just exhausted, and she just looked at me and she's like, "You must have had a big party last night." I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I just pulled all the liquor out and put it on the cabinet so that I have a place to put my pizza. So anyway, we called up.
So did they charge you? Did you have to get
we had to make sure those charges got taken off there and put the liquor back into the fridge. So anyway, that's my pre-race meal.
Pizza and $1,000 worth of alcohol. All right, we're going to move on to round. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Did you want the pizza afterwards, though?
Oh, I destroyed
was your stomach
it.
bad?
Oh,
okay, good.
My stomach was better by the time I got back to the hotel. I was ready to eat some pizza.
That's good.
All right, on to round 3, which is the race itself. Chandler.
Question number 5. What was your high point of the race? And what was your low point?
So I guess I didn't have a low point. The hardest part for me was that final hill. So everyone said, oh, it's super, super flat, but you kind of cross this bridge going up the last, it's like in the last, 400 meters. And that was the hardest hill I've ever run. So that was really hard. And then I guess the high point was just, with the marathon, it's always, the whole thing is, it's hard to go through because everything is really fun. But just, I think getting to the last 6 miles, knowing that I was running really fast and then crossing the line, I wasn't sure if I had run sub 2:21. So I was just kind of laying on the ground praying that I'd snuck under the time. So when I heard that I had ran that time, that's when I was really excited. So that was my high point.
So the high point for me was not actually during the race. And I thought this was so cool that, just my experience as someone who's walking from the hotel to the actual starting corrals, that, me, myself, and 40,000 people were all just kind of moving and a mass group of humanity that was just moving towards their corrals. And of course it's dark outside and it was completely silent. I mean, there's a few people that were talking, but I could
silent?
See it was dead silent. And that was the cool thing about it.
So what wave were you?
I was the very first of the second wave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, this was prior to even getting into the corrals.
Too.
Yeah. And so it was so cool because I saw all these people around me that were moving towards the corrals. I could look down one block the other direction, down the big tall buildings, and there was this mass humanity that was moving towards the corrals. And it was just all these people just going up to the start. And everyone was just, just had their game face on and we're just so serious. And it was just such a cool thing for me just to witness that. And I thought, you know what, this is so cool. I am part of something that is so big and so neat as, an event like this. I mean, that was just my high point right there. I just thought it was so cool.
I like that. I think you win that one.
Okay, now I got to talk about my low point because my low point was just absolutely pathetic. So now, Jordan, you asked me earlier about what my time was, and so my time was not good. It was just bad because I had a really bad day. Now, I was on track, and I trained for, and I was confident to run a 3:45. That's what I was shooting for, and I ended up with over 4. But what happened was my stomach turned on me. I've never, ever, ever had this happen before. But at mile 17, I tossed my cookies. And I've never had that happen before in a race. And so anyway, The bad thing about that is I lost my water, I lost my fuel, and you just can't put that back in. I mean, you can't get that back. And so, it's just kind of one of those deals where I pressed on, and then I just bonked at mile 20 just hardcore, and it was because of that. And so my stomach was still terrible, and I did the best I could, and I soldiered on. And like I said earlier, I was second wave, but whenever I finished, I still finished with all the first wave people. I didn't see anyone that had the second wave bibs, and so I take that as a win. That I finished a little faster than what I should have, but that was my low point right there. Was just towards that last part of the race where I was disappointed in myself that I didn't fulfill what my training had put me in a position to finish as. I was much better
just because
what I was that day. Yeah, I should have been better that day, but I wasn't. But I soldiered on. I finished it off, and got to the finish line. So that's the important part there. So that was my low point. Was probably mile 17, whenever I realized that 6 months of training is over.
So, question, do you think it was a pre-race meal or was it, what were you drinking during? Just gels or water? Or?
No, I don't think that it was my pre-race meal. I think while I had, tasty pizza, I think I was very responsible with how I ate it. And I think it was just, I just had a bad day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the heat. It was hot. Dang, it was hot.
It was hot. Yeah.
All right, on to question 6.
All right, question number 6. How did crossing that finish line feel?
Oh, I was kind of exhausted because what happened was I turned the corner to finish and I saw the clock and I realized that I had a chance to get under 2:21. So I just started sprinting as fast as I could. And I was able to sprint pretty quick for at the end of a marathon. But then my legs, they just really gave out. So when you're really trying to go that hard at the very end. So I wasn't tired, I guess, from the whole thing, but just from that last 50 meters. So I was down on the ground and was really tired, but thankfully my dad was there to pick me up and and tell me again, going back to what we were saying about how he's so competitive earlier. He's like, get up. Come on, get on your feet. So I was like, geez, Dad, okay, I gotta get up. And then it was it's just crossing the marathon finish line is just so emotional. I think that's what's so special about it for anyone. Just it's such an accomplishment and it's such a great feeling for anyone because everyone has their own certain goal time, right? So I think that's again, it's just cool because I know you, Andy, probably you weren't super happy about crossing lines. You didn't hit your time, but it's still satisfying just to know that you finished. And again, you're looking around, you beat a bunch of Wave 1 runners. So there's always something to be said about finishing marathon.
Oh, she gets bonus points for being so sweet.
Yeah, she really does, because I'm going to take a loss on this one. Because immediately after crossing the finish line, I texted my wife and I told her I will never run another marathon again. And so now I'm signed up for Little Rock Marathon. So apparently, that pain goes away pretty quick.
That didn't last. Yeah.
No, it didn't last very long at all.
Well, and that's funny, Andy, because now I'm not sure whether you lose a point or get bonus points, because that just took us into our final round, the post-race. And question number 7 is what, Chandler?
What was the experience immediately after the race?
Yeah, I kind of already talked about it, but I crossed the line, I fell over, and my dad came, though, and hugged me, and we got to celebrate, and I saw my aunt, who also went, and then I hugged Alberto and hugged our sports psychologist, but then for us as elite athletes, then we're kind of shuttled for a couple hours. I had to do media, press conference, and then I have to do drug testing. So that's always been, actually, the marathon's nicer than track because you get to drink throughout it. So usually the drug testing's pretty quick, especially with Sword, because I keep myself very hydrated. So, in fact, in Boston, they said I was the fastest that they've ever seen anyone be able to test.
There's that competitive spirit.
I was super proud of that. I was first marathon, I was so hydrated, I have to go. So that was cool. So again, I was super fast at that. So I took pride in that. Record day again, and
there we go.
Got off and
she just got bonus points for the quickest pee. All right, she's crushing this. Sorry, Andy.
Are
I'm totally gonna lose.
Are you looking to PR at the next marathon in drug testing? Is that your?
What does the P in PR stand for?
Yeah, then later that night, I didn't nap. I was just too excited and too many energy tablets. But we did an appearance at Nike store. So I did that, which was fun. I got to meet a bunch of people that had finished the marathon and signed some autographs there. And then I'm sure you were doing this as well, Andy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the lines were terrible. People wanted my autograph.
And then I went to dinner with my dad and aunt, and we went to Brazilian steakhouse, Fogo de Chao, which was really awesome, and I ate probably a couple of pounds of steak. So that's my favorite post-race meal is steak. And yeah, it was a good day.
Well, that's pretty cool because I think that answered question 8 too, which is, did you treat yourself after the race? So that was your treat. What did you treat yourself to, Andy?
Okay, well, let's go back to my experience after the race.
Oh yeah, besides texting.
At the finish line. Absolutely terrible. And so I crossed the finish line. I got my medal. And then I found this nice little grassy area underneath some trees in Grant Park. And I just laid down on the ground. It just felt terrible. And I laid there for a little while. It's like, okay, I think I'm still sick. And so I found myself a nice porta potty and threw up again. And I tell you what, a post-race porta potty is not a place you want to be. That is just a bad place to be. And then the bad thing about it is that I had a 1.5 mile walk back to the hotel. I was feeling terrible, miserable, and then wandered back. And then I kid you not, I actually ran into someone and almost knocked them over because I was just in this zombie state. It was Bart Yasso. I almost knocked Bart Yasso over.
Andy broke Bart.
Wow.
On my way back to the hotel, I'm just like, sorry, dude, and just wandered on. I felt so terrible. Yeah. So anyway, I made it back to the hotel, and by the time I got back there, I was feeling pretty good. And then, so, we're asking about, the treat yourself after the race. I was not going to pay another $500 for a hotel room for a second night. And so we had to get out of there really quick. And then, of course, I had to, make sure that I made sure the thousands of dollars worth of liquor that they thought that I took out of the mini fridge, I had to get that taken care of too. And then, so we immediately had to head out the door and then head off. Well, I found a White Castle that was on the way out of Chicago, and I had some White Castle sliders. And that was just the greatest thing I think I'd ever tasted in my entire life. So hungry. And so that was my treat as I left town just within 2 hours after finishing the marathon. So anyway, that's my post-race experience.
Oh, all right. So now we gotta tally this up here so we can let Jordan go. Let me see. Okay. So I've got to carry the one here. We know I'm not real great at math, but let's see. Okay, so I think Andy scored a good solid 6, which I think is pretty good. Now we got to add in some of Jordan's bonus points here, and she scored 738. So so close, so close.
But can we say,
crushed it.
The real winner was everyone. Let's be real.
We all get participation trophies. All right, Andy.
That's such a good idea, though. I like having the two perspectives because it is just funny how different it is. Like, you're talking about how it's such an experience having to walk to the start line, whereas we get like our private bus and elite warm-up tent with a heater in it.
Oh,
yeah, and you know what? That's one of the things that I really love about this sport is that your everyday runner, or some average Joe like me, that I get to set foot on the same course at the same time on the same day as the best of the best in the sport. And that's what's really special to me and everyone else that does it, that goes out there on race day, is that there's no other sport that the average person can experience that same thing that the pros do at the same time. And that is such a neat experience. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to bring forward whenever we did this, kind of fake little game show thing, was that, you've got an experience I've got an experience, and everyone else that goes out there on race day has an experience, and they're all special, they're all individual, and they all mean something. And I think it's great. I think it's wonderful about the sport of running that we do.
Very well said. Tell you
That
what,
is very nice. That's bonus points.
tell you what,
I'm
Andy.
buttering up the judges.
That's right. Well, and tell you what, here's what you've won. How about you get to take us out of the show? But why don't you go ahead and thank you so much, Jordan, and why don't you go ahead and close out the show for us, Andy?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jordan, for coming on. It's been a lot of fun, and we appreciate all of your time. We would like to make a shout out to the Ozark Mountain Daredevils for the use of their music for the intro and the outro of the show. And if anyone out there listening wants more information, you can visit www.heartlandrunning.com for the show notes for this show. And also make sure you join our Facebook group. That's where all the fun happens. We have good conversation and interesting things going on there. And then we also have a new phone number where you can leave us a message or send us a text if you have something interesting you want to have added to the show, or a question. And if we like what you have to say, we could put you on the show. That number is 513-486-4636. Make sure you tell a friend and go to iTunes to leave a review. And also, we are now on what?
We are on Spotify. So people who are out there setting up their playlists, they can now follow us and download us with their playlists.
All right. That is super cool. Well, I would like to definitely thank Jordan for coming on the show and dealing with our hijinks and shenanigans. It's probably a little bit different than what you've ever dealt with before, but that's kind of what we do here. But anyway, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I loved it. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, we'll just go out with I'm Andy.
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Crystal.
And we will talk to you guys next time. Thank you.